Hello, and greetings, folks, and welcome to World Civilization 100. I've heard it said, why are we here? Well, the answer, because we're here. That being said, I wanted to begin and dwell on some themes in this particular chapter that have some foundational evidences via biological research, as opposed to the more theoretical subjects that take up the first probably 2/3 of chapter 1 in your textbook. If I could be candid about that. So when teaching, I do not cover in depth everything in an entire chapter. I rather focus on a theme or two, and in light of that, for where we are, where we're going, I've provided the pages to be read on the syllabus, on the chapter syllabus, and I'm going to go through that here auditorially for those of you who learn that way, all right, as a favor to you folks, and because we have a forthcoming test, right? And what I'm going to be talking about here and what you're going to be reading about, your guided reading activities, will deal with, what I'm going to cover out of this chapter on the forthcoming test, certainly not the whole chapter. So the themes I am going to speak about here also will accompany the chapter reading questions, the objectives, which I'm going to show in a moment, and the discussion questions, which show up later in the week and are weighted pretty heavily as well. So turn me to page 26 if you're following along in the book. We will accompany that with some visuals as well on the screen. So as you're doing that, let me get the chapter objectives up on the screen before we get going here. Here we go. All right. In this chapter, our first chapter, we want to describe human ways of life and cultural developments. We want to compare the ways communities around the world shifted to settled agriculture and analyze the significance of this shift and what it had for social organization. Some of the heads up terms, as I like to call them, for the chapter: Homo sapiens, your first humans, okay? Hunting and gathering, lifestyle in which food is acquired through hunting animals, fishing, and foraging for wild berries, nuts, fruit, and grains, rather than just planting crops, vines or trees. Domestication, bringing a wild animal or plant under human control. And you can see the page numbers where you can find these concepts. Settled agriculture, humans' use of tools, animals, and their own labor to work the same plot of land for more than one growing cycle. And it involves switching from a hunting and gathering lifestyle to one based on farming. Pastoralism, a way of life in which humans herd domesticated animals and exploit their products, such as hides, fur, meat, and milk. Pastoralists include nomadic groups that range across vast distances, as well as transhuman herders who migrate seasonally in a more limited range. Now, all these terms, you can find on our course page, chapter 1. I have a link there called flashcards, and you can take a look at that. There are numbers, flashcards 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 will be what I want you to know for a future test. Okay, if we were in a classroom right now, I would ask you if there were any questions. If you do have questions, you can always, of course, get a hold of me via emails or request a chat. We'll talk about that after the lecture. Let's get into that now. And on page 26, all of this begins. I'm going to show you the PowerPoint and ad lib on that a little bit. Hunting and gathering. I'm going to be candid about this. I wouldn't say I have problems with the dates of this book. I don't want to get into a spitting contest about dates. I'm not going to highlight what is in the PowerPoint with the book, right? You guys are going to be reading these dates. I'm not going to go changing them up here, but I'm not going to emphasize them with quizzes either. So hunting and gathering emerged at some time, right? The San hunters of South Africa are present day hunters and gatherers, and hunting and gathering culture. It provided enough food found in 3 hours, time for relaxation, highly egalitarian between the sexes, and women have enjoyed, it's believed, enjoyed higher status as well. So again, they, the hunting and gathering, the hunted animals, fished and foraged for wild berries, nuts, fruit, and grains, rather than planting crops or trees. Some believe that these small bands were relatively egalitarian. There was no hierarchy of, men and women. With the more male, like some of the more male-dominated societies that arose later on, they speculate that men specialized in hunting and women specialized in gathering and child rearing. Some scholars even believe that women, made a larger contribution and had a high status because of the dietary staples of the community were cereals and fruits, whose harvesting and preparation was, likely a woman's responsibility. Paintings, sculpture, and music drawings. Homo sapiens drawings help them to understand the environment. Bonded tightly among their kin groups. They established important mythology. Few depictions of humans, though, in the art. Handprints and abstract symbols were the norm. Some of the meanings of the drawings, perhaps decoration theory, discounted as a rule of thumb, separating themselves from nature, and maybe led by the work of shamans and druids and religious leaders in the communities for ritual use. Some of the subjects of the most ancient art were large game. You can see that in some of the paintings, animals that early humans would have considered powerful symbols. Remarkably few human images that I mentioned show hunters, naked females, or dancing males. There are even abstract symbols such as circles, wavy lines, and checkerboards, but these often appear at places of transition in the caves. Perhaps too, images help the early humans define themselves as separate from other parts of nature. They might have been the work of powerful, like I said, powerful shamans or druids. And these are again, individuals that held special powers to supposedly help the folks understand and control these forces of the cosmos around them. Some of the most famous of the paintings were these figurines, the figurines of rotund and perhaps pregnant females. They demonstrate also that successful reproduction was a very important theme. And other sculptures represent animals. And the animals are seem to be in postures of movement or at rest. The caves of early men and women also resounded to the strains of music. In 2008, archaeologists working in southwestern Germany discovered, a hollowed out bone flute with 5 openings that they dated, and they think roughly around the same time that humans began to occupy that particular region. So symbolic activity of this sort enables humans to make sense of themselves, nature, and the relationship between humanity and nature. Move on to agriculture, revolution, and food production, social change. A fundamental shift occurred in the way humans produce food for themselves, what scholars have called an agricultural or ecological revolution. And in this era of major change, humans established greater control over nature. And this control transformation consisted of the domestication of wild plants and animals. Population pressure was one factor that triggered this move to settle agriculture, as hunting and gathering alone could not sustain the growth in the numbers of the folks. So a revolution in agriculture, in turn, obviously is going to lead to a vast population expansion between men and women who can now produce more calories per unit of land. So as various plants and animals were domesticated around the world, people settled in villages, and social relationships also changed. The beginnings of settled agriculture and pastoralism. Settled agriculture refers to the application of human labor and tools to a fixed plot of land for more than one growing cycle. Pastoralism, the herding of domesticated animals, which complemented settled farming. So the process of all this, the formation of settled communities, it enables humans to take advantage of favorable regions and to take risks, spurring agricultural innovation. So in areas with abundant wild game and edible plants, people began to observe and experiment with the most adaptable plants. The process of domestication probably began when people noticed that certain edible plants retain their nutritious grains longer than others. So they collected seeds and scattered them across fertile soils. Dogs, right? Man's best friend, right? Dogs were the first animals to be domesticated. In China and Central Asia, including Mongolia and Nepal, humans first domesticated gray wolves. and made them an essential part of human society. Dogs did more than comfort, did more than just comfort humans. With their herding instincts too, I should probably add, they helped humans control other domesticated animals, such as sheep. And in the central Zagros Mountains region, wild sheep and wild goats were actually very abundant. The animals accepted their dependence because humans fed them, right? Domesticated herds became the primary source of protein in the early humans' diet. Transhumant herders and nomadic pastoralists over time, two different types of pastoralists with different relationships to settled populations developed. You have the transhumant herders and the nomadic pastoralists. The transhumant herders were closely affiliated with agricultural villages whose inhabitants grew grains, especially wheat and barley, which required large parcels of land. And therefore, these herders produced both meat and dairy products, as well as wool for textiles, and exchanged these products with agriculturalists for grain, pottery, and other staples. Nomadic pastoralism, on the other hand, came to flourish, especially in the steppe lands north of the agricultural zone of southern Eurasia. The nomadic pastoralists often had no fixed home, okay, though they often returned to their traditional locations, and they moved across large distances in response to the size and needs of their herds. The northern areas of the Eurasian landmass, stretching from present-day Ukraine across Siberia and Russia, and Mongolia, just to the south between Russia and China, to the Pacific Ocean, became the preserve of these horse-riding pastoral peoples, living as they did in a region unable to support the extensive agriculture necessary to for large settled populations. So in Afro-Eurasia, they domesticated horses and developed weapons and techniques at certain points in history, and this enables them to conquer sedentary societies. Agricultural innovation, the Afro-Eurasia area and the Americas, okay, not North America yet, but Central and South America. And in your textbooks, you can take a look at figure 1.4. I'm going to get to that shortly. There it is. I'm make sure I had it on here. So as we're going to see in the following section, other communities, such as those in Europe, were borrowers. They were borrowers of ideas, which spread through migration and contact with other regions. So in all of these populations, the shift to settled agriculture was revolutionary. So the first agricultural revolution occurred in Southwest Asia, in an area bounded by the Mediterranean Sea. And you can see that over map 1.5, Mediterranean Sea and the Zagros Mountains. And this is a region today known as the Fertile Crescent because of its rich soils and regular rainfall. And I break, and I don't cover this, but I break from your authors. And again, not to get into a spitting contest about this and get into a lot of theoretical stuff, but I teach that the first humans actually emanated from this area here, in between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, in the southern part of that region, in ancient Samaria. And you can see the map on page 1.5 of the Nile River region off to the left. This area here too, by the way, is in between the Tigris and Euphrates is modern day Iraq, by the way. Shouldn't forget that. But nevertheless, humans began to domesticate the wild ancestors of barley and wheat, which were the easiest to adapt to settled agriculture, and they were the easiest to transport, as a matter of fact. So over time, these cultivators were selecting and storing seeds and then sowing them in prepared seed beds. So of the six large mammals, you had goats, sheep, pigs, cattle, camels, and horses that were vital for meat, milk, skins, and transportation, right? Transporting humans in Southwest Asia. And so they therefore were all domesticated except for horses. East Asia, we're talking here, modern day China, Japan, the Koreas. A revolution in food production also occurred among the coastal dwellers there in East Asia, although under different circumstances. And you can take a look at map 1.6 in your textbooks. When big game became extinct, men and women sought other ways to support themselves. And long before they settled down and became cultivators of the soil, they would do this. So in this period, divergent human cultures flourished in northern and southern Japan. Hunters in the south created these primitive pebble and flake tools, whereas those in the north used sharper blades, about 1/3 of an inch wide. So production of earthenware pottery develops. And that's a breakthrough. That's a real breakthrough that enables people to store food more easily, and also may have begun that period in the south. They're able to carry water in it, which enables them to, if they want to hunt, take longer treks as well. So two newly formed river basins along the Yellow River in northern China. And you can see your map, page 1.6. The Yellow River in northern China and the Yangtze River in central China became densely populated areas that were focal points for intensive agricultural development. Again, what barley and wheat were for Southwest Asia, rice along the Yangtze River and millet along the Yellow River were for East Asia. Staples adapted to local environments that humans could domesticate to support a large and sedentary population. And here's the map here, the origins of food production and animal domestication. Map 1.6, or map 1.4, I believe it was. Map 1.5 is the birth of farming in the Fertile Crescent and the spread of farming in East Asia. There you have that. That's as far as we're going to cover that. Now, I want to talk about, well, some vitals that you're going to see a lot in the course as I close up today. Oh, I have a graphic organizer for you as well. See if I can find that for you to show you that. These details all over my desk here. And, well, I have it posted for you. I have a graphic organizer posted for you. Where that got swallowed up at. but you do have one. All right, let's take a look at what's up ahead and how to do things around here. Your reading assignment, pages 26 through 44. And again, I'm going to be accompanying your reading exercises with lectures for those of you who learn that way, right? You learn auditorially. So that's kind of it will accompany the reading. But the reading, as you read, will give you some guided questions that you are to glean from the reading, because these are themes, as I covered here on the lecture, these are themes that are going to show up on a forthcoming test. Video, you have a short video. You're going to have some videos there, an audio visual. They're going to be about a minute, 2 minutes on the agricultural revolution to help further the concepts. Flashcards, you know, some of the heads up terms that will help you for a forthcoming test. And then a review quiz. You'll have a review quiz link, and you could see the instructions in the link. Now, none of this stuff do you owe me. You don't owe it to me. It's just medicine for you to take to help you for the quiz or for the test. The review quiz, I will tell you which, on the instructions, which quiz questions to tackle, because of right now, as I speak, it's in Canvas and I don't have a way to delete the questions that I don't want you guys looking at. So there could be a panic button there. Oh, you know, there's 27 questions there. I think I answered the 7 he wants right, but it says I got 20 wrong. That's because you didn't answer the questions I did not want you to address, and I'll take care of that. I mean, well, that's not graded anyway. I shouldn't probably dwell on that. That's not really graded. It's just for you to, again, reinforce concepts for the quiz. Wednesday, I will start to have the discussion questions ready to go. You'll have 2 days, or to the end of Thursday night, to get the initial post in, right? Get the initial post in, read the discussion question rubric about that. So you'll have until Thursday night to get that in. And then Friday through Sunday, you'll have 2 days to get 2 discussion posts in, and toward, you know, or 2 response posts to classmates, right? Again, read the rubric, because this here is a graded assignment, the discussion posts, and it's weighted kind of heavily. So you want to get that right. I should probably include in here Wednesday night it's a time to, if you want to meet with the instructor. Yeah, if you want to meet with me, let me know ahead of time. We could chat, we can Zoom, okay? Or you can call me on the phone for, you know, reinforcement, you know, for some of the practice assignments, some of the things you want to discuss. And so Wednesday night from, I have it in my, on the syllabus. I think it's 7 to 8 p.m., but yeah, we'll work that out. I know Wednesday night I'm available to do that. So by Sunday night, you should have 2 discussion posts or response posts to other classmates in. I have a sliding scale on that. The earlier you get that in, the better you have to get a full 10 points. The later, there are penalties for that, because I want you guys to be able to contribute. Now, I know you all have something to contribute. The later those posts go, I mean, Sunday at 6 p.m., most people are done. You know, most people have their responses in and their posts, and they can't glean from the things that, the valuable things that you're coming up with. If you're not getting it in till, your response post till 8 o'clock at night. Monday we'll begin again, right? The cycle. We'll start chapter 2, rivers, cities, and first states. And same kind of a setup. So in the meantime, before Wednesday night, any questions, comments that don't require, a lot of heavy discussion, be sure to get a hold of me. I do have live classes during the week at another institution. So, but I'm looking at my emails and texts throughout the day, and probably by the end of the day, I'll get back to you. Okay, so just keep that in mind too. I'm on the road a lot, and right. So that is that. Until next time, or maybe Wednesday night, I will talk to you then, and have a great week. See ya.